Hello, and welcome to the PDA Society's podcast. We're here to chat about all things PDA to help you understand what people with this profile of autism are experiencing and how you can help. We'll be sharing research, professional expertise, and the insights of people with lived experience to help you understand PDA and have more tools to make life easier. So, whether you're a PDA yourself, a family member, friend, or professional trying to make a difference, welcome from everybody at the PDA Society. We hope you'll find this useful.
Welcome to the PDA Society podcast, where we share lived experiences and practical insights to help families, professionals, and PDAs themselves feel supported and understood. My name is Rachel, and I'm your host for today's episode. Today, I'm going to be talking to Matt Sellers, a PDA who works for the police, and we'll be discussing how his autism and PDA helps him in his work, what adjustments he makes to his work and life, and the path that has led him to his current role. So welcome, Matt. Would you like to say a few words about yourself?
Yeah, good morning. Hi, Rachel. So I currently work in policing as an assurance and standards lead. And probably people thinking, what does that mean? So I can talk a little bit more about that later if needed. I joined the police back in February, so I'm a police staff member, and that's important. I'm not a police officer. It would be a big shock for people to know there's obviously lots of people who are police staff who make policing work. I started there as a project management office manager, and again we may talk a little bit about later what that does, but that's effectively working in projects and programs. And then I got promoted into be the assurance lead. I ended up in the role I'm doing at the moment, which is very different to the role that I'd done sort of in my career up to now, which has been too long. It makes me feel old. Where I was a program manager and director, so leading large change programs, mainly around the IT space, a lot in government. But actually, I took a conscious decision about 6 months ago that my neurodiversity profile would suit project management office and assurance work a lot better. So I took that active decision about 6 months ago, applied for jobs like that, and the police one was one of the ones I applied for and was lucky to get it. And it's been great.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's brilliant. So it's great, isn't it, when you find a job that really connects well with you. So maybe, could you tell us a little bit more about your role then for the police and what maybe a typical day looks like for you?
Yeah, it's a typical day. That'll be an interesting one. So what bloody hell does an assurance and standards lead do? So I work in a department that works nationally, effectively running projects and programs that are meant to make policing better,
right,
efficient, more with less. Obviously, there's quite rightly significant focus on how I'm not officially a civil servant for the purpose of this. I am a civil servant. I work, I'm a government employee. Okay. But I work for the police. There's a slight difference, but probably not relevant to. There's obviously quite rightly a focus on how government, which is public money, is spent. We have to spend it effectively. So what this department I'm working in is doing is implementing fairly large scale changes across policing, which is a massive, I won't talk about the particular police force I work for, but any of them are quite large. Making things work better, more efficiently. But in order to make things work better, more efficiently, you have to spend money on the projects and programs, and it needs to be carefully spent. There obviously have been challenges over the years of big government change projects not working as well as everybody would like. I would point out I've worked both in private sector and the public sector, and there is, neither is better or worse. Okay, so it's not government gets a lot of this wrong. However, to sort of get to the point, my role as assurance and standards lead is to help the projects and programs make sure they are set up for success. So
Right.
making sure we're following a standard framework. You start off with a project, you write a business case, to make sure that the thing you're trying to fix has a proper return on investment. Are we going to spend the right amount of money? Is the solution that we're going to implement going to be the right one? Again, is that value for money? Are all the people it's going to impact happy with it? Has all the decision making been done correctly? Which sounds like a horrendous amount of admin and work, but actually it's better to do that than to spend a load of money and suddenly realize that the thing you're going to change isn't you're not getting right. And perhaps to go back to where we started in the intro, the reason why it perhaps suits my profile a little bit better is it's a lot of analysis, looking at paperwork, working with people, looking at the structure, etc., which plays very well into my neurodiversity. And also, I'm supporting the project and program managers, and that is, which I used to do. That is a really hard job because you're out dealing with the people to get that done. And what I'm trying to do is make sure they're not having to worry about, I mean, they do have to worry about which piece of paper to fill in, but trying to make that as easy as possible. And it's really important that I'm not going, oh, I can do, I know better than you, because that's not what the job's all about. It's about helping them navigate that framework, that governance, that process, just to make sure all the right things at the right time, and we spend public money effectively. Further spend public money effectively, if that makes it. We spend public money effectively to get as efficient and effective as we can.
I'm with you. Yeah. So it's quite complex then. There's lots, sounds like there's going to be lots of elements to your job that, you've got that, sort of, I suppose the design of the project, the liaising with all the different parts of all those moving cogs in that wheel that you've got to try and make work together, haven't you?
It is. And, that is very much what the project and program managers have to do. But yes, the everything is complicated, right? You're potentially dealing with a lot of people, a lot of systems. Policing, again, nobody's going to go, well, that's particularly insightful. Policing is a complicated thing, right? And it's about protecting the public. And it's funny because I really love working in the public sector. Because it's doing something real. There's real people at the end of this, and we're very, very good at recognizing that's what we do. I don't wish to, critical of when I've worked in other places, but I try to be careful. I don't say no. Perhaps some of the other jobs, it wasn't a direct link to that helping the public. It is very rewarding in that, but we are remembering that when things don't work, people's safety is at risk, and when it does work, actually we're creating a real we're protecting people. That's what it's all about. So that sort of there's something real at the end of this is really important, and is very motivational as well.
I bet it is. Yeah. No, that's great. So how do you find them working within this sort of such a structured and sort of hierarchical organization as a PDA autistic person?
So that's an interesting question, because it's hierarchical is an interesting phrase. Yes, there is a hierarchy. Yes, people have defined roles and responsibilities, but certainly in the area I am in, it's very much not command and control.
Right.
Nobody ever comes in and says, we're going to do this because I'm that grade or whatever, and I've said so. It doesn't work that way, which is obviously really, really good. Again, reflecting on places where I've been where it has been a little bit like that. And actually, ironically, that's not been in policing, that's been more in the private sector, but that's another story. It doesn't work anyway, because if leadership is about getting people to do the right thing because they want to,
Yeah.
And that's about the best definition of leadership I've ever come across. That obviously wasn't my creation. You know, just telling people what to do doesn't work.
Mm.
And that kind of goes almost to the core of what we do from the assurance side. Is we're setting up we want to change something. The reason
Yeah.
why we want to change it is because something's not working as well as it could, or we can make it better.
Yeah.
Selling that vision and that let's all do it, and everybody gets on board and says, oh, okay, we all want to do that thing. So nobody's saying just
Yeah.
because I am a particular rank,
Yeah.
which that's front end policing. We don't have ranks in although obviously we deal with a lot of police officers, but it is still pretty structured, which is good because it has to be. Everybody, this is dangerous because I am not a football fan, so I'm going to try and use a football analogy. I'd probably go crashingly wrong. You know, everybody has to know what positions they're playing on the pitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't mean that everybody's rigidly only staying in their positions and never moving out of it. Occasionally, we all have to sort of, if an issue comes up, we'll have to put ourselves in different things. But we have to snap back to the right positions
When
longer term.
needed. Yeah.
Well, because if you don't, otherwise it just gets too chaotic. So just to try and answer that question a bit more succinctly, it is structured. Everybody has pretty well clear defined roles and responsibilities. There is a hierarchy, but it's not a hierarchy where sort of the top and pyramid dictating what we do. It self manages, for want of a better word. Phrase.
And I can imagine then that structure sort of helps that framework for with your neurodivergence, in that you've got the structure there, so you know what parameters you're working within, but you've also got your own autonomy, sort of being in control of your role within that. Is that right?
100%. And that is so yes, I know within reason, although it's a long list of things I need to sort out.
Yeah.
And that even within my assurance team, it's split between the day-to-day operational of I've got a certain number of projects and programs I'm assigned to. So I'm dealing with them all the time saying, right, you're at this stage in your project life cycle, you need to write a business case. Or they're coming to me going, right, we're in this scope. What do we do next? Sorry, that sounds a bit wrong, because it's not like they haven't got a clue, but
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
There can be some nuances to the type of business case. If anybody's ever struggling to sleep, there's something called the Blue Book, which is the government cabinet office business case. How we do business cases. It's about 100 pages long. It'll get you to sleep at night. But you need it, right? Because again, we're spending a lot of money. So there's a day-to-day piece of working with them to do that. Let's call it operational, but it's operational program delivery. And then I've got the things where we're actually trying to make the assurance and governance process better. So I've got a list of improvements we're trying to make. But I do broadly know 90% of everything I've got to do, right?
Yeah.
So there are surprises coming in, and there are times when we have to move quite quickly and the world changes. That's fine. But yes, broadly, I have a certain amount. I have a pretty good idea of what it is I need to do, when I need to get it done by, and pretty good autonomy to decide in reason how, when I'm going to do that. And it's very much me going to my boss going, look, I think we should do these things this order. And 99 times out of 100, he's going, yeah, that sounds right. We'll build a plan and we get on with it.
Yeah, and that's great, isn't it? When you've got that autonomy over certain those elements of your job, that it just makes everything much easier, doesn't it? So, what kind of reasonable adjustments then, or supports that have been put in place for you, maybe through the application process or the interview process, and in your day-to-day work, have you found that you've needed those adjustments in place for yourself?
Yeah, so when I applied for the role, there was in the job description, there was the disability confidence stamp, which is really, really good. There was all the words, and I forget exactly what the words were around We very much welcome people with a range of disabilities. Please apply, which is great just to see that welcoming, piece to that. When you start off with a written, you do send your CV in, but in a way, not that CVs aren't important, but the recruitment process tries to look a bit deeper than that. Which again I think is good. You write a personal statement of why you want the role. I put right at the top of it, I am neurodiverse. This is also the things it brings to analysts and skills and that type of thing. They then said, you want any reasonable adjustments for the interview, and I said yes. They were pretty, and that was really only just understanding what the format of the interview and not the specific questions I would get asked, but this will be a competency-based interview. Here are the competencies we want to test. You will get a question that is from one of those competencies. Which is great, but there is a theme in this, and I think a lot of the good stuff that the police do to support neurodiverse people and potentially people with other disabilities actually is just good practice anyway. Having
it should be across the board, shouldn't it?
And having and this theme has come up quite a lot ever since I got diagnosed. Places that workplaces I've really enjoyed working at have just been good places to work. And the ones I haven't, perhaps haven't been good places to work. Having a very clear job description for the role that is based on a very standard set of competencies which the police have, and going, right, we want those ones. We want you to be medium level advanced at that particular competency, and being clear about that in advance. And then having a structured interview where they ask you specific questions around that is just good practice. So those were the adjustments made in the interview.
Great.
Incredibly sensible and personable people who are interviewing me. Explained at the beginning of the interview, right, we are going to do this, we are going to ask you this, whatever. But again, they do that for everybody going through the interview, and then just waiting to hear that I've been successful. What they were good is they were very, very quick in coming back to say, yes, you've been successful.
That's good. You haven't got that long wait time, which nobody likes at all. It's no good for anyone, is it?
No, and God, I can remember some process where you don't hear for 3 months. If at all, to be honest.
And that, I know. And if you've taken the time to apply and go through the whole process, the least people can do is get back to you quickly, isn't it? I know it's very frustrating, and that just sends those anxiety levels sky high, doesn't it?
And anxiety, isn't it? I'm glad you mentioned anxiety. I might come back to that.
Okay.
So once I'd joined, you do have, any member of the police has to go through vetting. Part of it. So we go through vetting. That takes a while. That can be a little bit of a scary process, because I'm not breaking any great secrets here. It is meant to be an intrusive process, because obviously, if you think about the purpose of vetting, which is to protect, from people who might not be suitable, it has to be. So that that's fine. Then one thing I would mention, and this isn't about them making adjustments, this is something I do. I use the STAR model for interviews. I've always done so. I might talk about it. So STAR model is situation, task, action, result.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a model that a lot of people use for interviewing people, but it's also a brilliant model to prepare for an interview.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah.
what you do is you look at the competencies and you think, okay, what's an example of doing well on that particular, in a previous job, doing well on that particular competency.
Yeah.
So think about what was the situation I was in, what was the task I was doing, what did I do, what's the action I took to address a problem or make something better, and what was the result.
Right. Yeah.
And I have a great big spreadsheet and about 20 of these on here, and I've got sort of a standard set, and then I look at the competency and go, well, that one actually works really well for that one. And I
Yeah.
walk into the interview with it. I walk into the interview with 2 big sheets of A3 and sit
Oh,
and put them.
brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's never been a problem. It's always been beneficial. So I would recommend it, well, anyone, but also potentially if you are neurodiverse, you are very anxious about interviews, I would recommend that. It's a nice structure to help you form your
Yeah.
answers to questions, and it's simple. It's
Yes. Yeah.
simple and helpful.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah.
So once I was on board, I think almost the first conversation I had with my original line manager when I was the project management office manager was, what do you need from a reasonable adjustments point of view? Which,
Yeah. Great.
and I talked through that, and I just said, look, in my situation, it's probably not a vast amount. The things that make me that drain me a little bit, I suffer from high amounts of anxiety by so lots of back-to-back meetings are not going to be good for me.
Yeah.
And there is a question, are they good for anybody? But
Yes, exactly.
so very much what do you need? They also do something here, which again is nothing to do with the neurodiversity, called How I Like to Be Managed.
Okay.
Which is it's a word template that you just put together, and everybody does it. And I won't read the whole thing. I mean, I deliberately got it here because I thought it might be good just to mention it. Things like, so in one word, the thing I most need from people is, and I put down clarity. Many things motivate me, but my personal top 3 are, and I put solving problems, building structured systems that deliver projects and programs to achieve the business benefit, having clear objectives and clarity for my boss through what they want. And it talks about what might trigger you. And I said, being micromanaged. I said, people changing their minds for no reason.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a not big fan of office politics. So it was really good. I said I won't read up the whole, that'll get a bit dull. Really good that they were thinking about how do you really engineer an effective working relationship between the person and their line manager. We also published that, so I would not be working for my line manager day to day when I was the PMO manager. I go into a project and I sit within that project and make that work better for them. The project manager also gets to see that, so they know how we all work.
That's great.
No, it's a really useful document. I use it with the people that work for me. Some are neurodiverse, some are not, but I use it with everybody. It's just a good tool. And without sounding like a stuck record, it does come back a little bit to good work practices are just good for.
Yeah, they're good for everybody, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because my project and program manager also asked me, I'm aware that you're neurodiverse. What works for you? So I gave them the same conversation there, which is, and do you know what, people just asking is great.
Yeah.
That's kind of half the.
You're half the battle, aren't you? Because you've
Well,
got the awareness. Yeah, you've got the aware. If the awareness is there that actually everybody is individual, so therefore knowing how every individual would prefer to be managed or would prefer to work, surely that's going to help the workflow and those relationships and connections of working together. So as you say, it's useful for everybody,
Very
not
much.
just, yeah, brilliant. That sounds great.
Very much.
Mm,
And the last thing I'll say, I'm sorry, I know I've given a very, very long answer to this
that's all right.
question. But
That's good.
the
No, that's great.
last thing that I've done for quite a few years, ever since I was diagnosed about 6 or 7 years ago, when I keep saying this, because I think I said 2 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago. Anyway, that's how time works, isn't it? A few years.
Yes.
I have on my email signature, underneath all the boring stuff about who I am and my job and whatever, and my department, I have a autism awareness signature.
Okay. Yeah.
And again, I won't read the whole thing. It's got 4 lines on it. It just says, I am autistic. Autism is a neurological difference that impairs a person to ability to communicate, affects brain function, may be hidden through person masking.
Yes.
And I said, autism has a wide spectrum of symptoms and behaviours. Please ask about my autism if you have any questions. I will not be offended.
Brilliant.
And it's always prompted positive responses from people who've then messaged me going, I'm autistic, I'm a PDA or whatever. That's great that you're putting it on there, and it makes people aware and people have conversations.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not here to give advice, but I think it's something I would recommend to people who's working in type of environment where people are sending around emails to
Yes.
maybe put on the bottom of their email signature.
Yeah, that's such a great idea because in many work environments these days, a lot of it is via email rather than those face-to-face conversations. And actually, sometimes it's better, and also just putting it out there, isn't it? It's putting that message out there. Whereas some sort of neurodivergent people might be that have that reluctancy, but actually, once you put it out there and that you're opening up those conversations for everybody to have, and then that just helps that working environment, then, doesn't it? So that's a
It
great idea.
it does definitely,
Mm,
yeah, 100%, yeah.
yeah, brilliant. Okay, so there's been lots of positive aspects then, it sounds like, from you while you've been working in this job. Have there been any particular aspects of the job that you found especially challenging because of your PDA profile? You've mentioned a few ways of how you've learned to manage some of those, but is there anything else you want to add to that?
Not really. I have to say this is the best place I've ever worked.
Brilliant.
I mean, all the normal things, but it doesn't really happen here.
Mm,
Occasionally you get the odd person, and this is just life, isn't it? So I'll give you an example, and we all work on Teams
yeah,
or Zoom or whatever the version people have. And
yeah,
obviously there is an ability on there just to phone someone out of the blue.
yes, yeah,
I that I really struggle to deal with. That's
right.
probably the biggest trigger.
Yes,
Um, and I think that's probably for any neurodiverse PDA. I think that just somebody just phoning you out of the blue is the worst thing. I don't know.
yeah. It's that time. It's that I think it puts you on the spot, doesn't it? And you've got a certain time, and it's the noise is ringing, and you're under pressure to answer, and it's like, but you're not prepared, or you don't know. Also, it's that fear of the unknown because you don't know what that phone call is going to bring you. You don't know what they're going to say. So
Absolutely.
that magnifies that fear of the unknown that we know lots of PDAs really, really struggle with. So yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah. Yes. And it's an immediate demand as well, which is like
Yeah.
even just um I I don't like using the phone full stop, actually.
Hmm.
I don't know if this is common to other autistic PDAs. It's funny because there's sorry, this might be a slight philosophical diversion, but anyway,
That's fine.
you can stop me if you want. There's everybody, like, the companies that want people, we want we want to be able to talk to someone. We don't do anything online. I am the flip opposite. I do
Mm.
not want to, if I'm going to go and book a restaurant, if I can't do it online, I'm not going. Right? I do not want to have a phone call. I'm going mad at my pension provider at the moment because you only seem to be able to do things by phoning them. I don't like it.
No.
So yeah, I that's probably the only issue I have. But actually, interesting in quite a few people who aren't PDAs or neurodiverse, in their how they like to be managed, they've said we don't like to be phoned out of the blue. You know, and the nature of how Teams and all these other things, you can just message people first, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, I'm probably overblowing something that's not really.
No, but if anything is putting you out of your comfort zone while you're at work, then it's bound to just even if it's ever so slightly, get in the way of that productivity or that working relationship. If you've got one colleague that will message you first and say, can we have a chat this afternoon? Whereas another colleague will phone you straight without any warning. Naturally, I think for anybody, you would have a slightly different working relationship with those two people. So, even little things like that, they are important because they do affect how we work. So, yeah, no, it's very interesting because I'm very much the same. Actually, I don't like using the telephone. I'd much prefer people email me or message me rather than phone me.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not. I haven't come from a technical background, but I work with a lot of software developers, and they talk about a thing called flow, which is they're kind of into what they're doing and they're trying to
Yeah,
code it. And the work I do is a little bit like that because he's very much into lots of documentation and spreadsheets and whatever. And if you're in the middle of that, and sudden there's a phone call and you're out of it, it's like, oh,
yeah, yeah,
God,
yeah,
into the flow again. So it's not necessarily just a PDA thing. But yeah, but again, I need to emphasize, you know, you've asked a question about what doesn't work here, and I'm really, I struggle to actually find
yeah,
the stuff
yeah. Yeah, it's something relatively small, but yeah, yeah. No, so that's great. It's if most of the aspects of the job work really well for you, which it sounds like they do, then that's great. As you say, you found that right job for you, haven't you? Which is brilliant.
I have,
Great.
and it's a bit of a trite term, but it is a little bit about finding your tribe.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
there might be other organisations that do similar things to what we do, and I've worked in project and program management pretty much my whole career.
Hmm.
So the things we are doing in my department are very similar to the things I've done my entire life,
Yeah,
but it's the behaviours of the people that make it work.
that's what makes the difference, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Again, no great insight there. But yeah,
Mm.
that's exactly why it works. It works so well.
Brilliant. Okay. So we know then that PDAs often bring creativity, problem solving, and strong tuition to their work, and it sounds like that's what you do. So, what strengths do you think that your PDA profile has brought to your role? You've mentioned a few already.
Yeah, and it is very much that the analytical, and I guess because I don't know, again, I think it's always important to talk about me, not talk about
Hmm.
or PDAs in general.
Hmm.
I do like a little bit to sort of, I think withdraw's the wrong word, but look at a problem, go away and analyze the problem and try and
Yeah.
break it down. I do a lot of that, you know,
Hmm.
breaking it down onto a spreadsheet, working out a timeline for something, right? Where do we want to get to? And definitely, I think that is a strength. I mean, it's a strength in project and program management anyway,
Yeah.
because that's what you're doing, forever breaking everything down into a journey and site, and
Hmm.
also asking questions like, what is it you're actually trying to achieve?
Yeah.
And okay, how are you going to know when you've achieved the thing that you're setting out to achieve? How are you quantifying that thing? Are you saving money?
Yeah.
Are you trying to make a process more effective? How are you actually going to measure that? Is it going to be a sum of money you're going to save? Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's just things are going to be better. I mean, you can take that to the nth degree and actually start saying, well, if I can save a certain amount of time on a process, therefore, if I estimate how that process takes, I'm also, you know, making people, I'm improving morale, therefore we do less staff turnover. So you and what I'm saying, the reason why I'm laughing is I have to stop myself sometimes, because you can sort of almost analyze to the nth degree, and sometimes
Yeah.
there's a point at
Yeah.
which no, I've done enough. I've done enough. So that, and I've basically sort of expanded analysis skills probably to the nth degree, even as I'm talking. Interestingly enough, and I don't know how unique this is within neurodiversity, I actually don't. Sudden change that is real events, right? So, you know, if for instance we were doing something and there was an incident, for instance, that means, so sometimes quite understandably, the people we're dealing with are also have frontline roles. That may fall in
Yeah.
because of the nature that there is an incident. So all of a sudden, that we have to stop making the organisation better. We have to react to what is going on at that
Yes. Okay.
time,
Yeah.
which I think everybody would go, well, yes, of course you do. So when real world events happen and we have to change what we're doing, that type of change doesn't bother me for some reason. I don't know why.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It ironically, and this is where sometimes you almost have to talk to the chimp in your head. And I don't know if any people know about, you know, the
Yeah.
chimp paradox, and so I won't, you know, but
Yeah.
I find that quite useful. The chimp doesn't mind that sort of change. The chimp gets very upset that maybe when it thinks that it's change driven by perhaps people and it's unnecessary. So it's very
Right.
weird.
Okay.
It's very strange. So we need to have what I call a real world problem. Often I'm just totally calm and then just go,
Yeah.
how to fix this problem, and etc. etc. So I don't actually know if that's a autistic PDA profile, or if that just means I'm just a bit of a weird one. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That it could be. It could be because you're seeing the, you know, you can directly see that purpose. I'm not saying that you can't see a purpose in the other work that you do in the long term work, but that more that immediate demands that there's a problem that really needs solving, and you throwing yourself into it. So it sounds like that's, you know, that you're very easily be able to adapt in that situation, which is great, which is
Yeah,
a fabulous skill to have, isn't it?
yeah,
So I mean, and that sort of leads me on a little bit to my next question about navigating team environments and those moments of high demand. So I'm not sure if you might have answered this question sort of already, but or elements of it. So it's about how you navigate those team environments and how you navigate those moments of demand, like those sudden changes or authority dynamics. You know, do you generally cope with most of those very, very well, or do you find them difficult, or do you have strategies that help you cope?
yeah. So all of the above, and we have touched on this,
Yeah.
and again, it's a bit dangerous because I'm going to keep saying everything's wonderful where I am. Obviously, you know, not everything's perfect and wonderful, but it is a better environment for that, because people aren't. There's no. There's very little poor, for want of a better phrase, sort of the political office dynamics of
Yeah, I know what you mean.
you know, people just trying to seek power or status or whatever. We just don't really get that where I am.
Mm,
When I've had that in the past, that is, I've really struggled to deal
yeah.
with that. The only way really I've ever found to deal with that properly is to push things more into a written approach, getting people to write stuff down so I can understand what's
Right. Yeah.
and ask questions back of, well, can you be really clear about what you mean? What is it you actually want from
Yeah.
that?
Getting that clarification.
Absolutely. And what that sometimes can drive out is, and again, I'm talking previously, not here. Often the people don't know.
Yeah. 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 And then that's difficult then, because you've got ambiguity, haven't you?
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned ambiguity. That's a really important point. There's a lot of in the hundreds and thousands and probably millions of various podcasts and whatever and advice there are around the workplace. There's so much about, well, ambiguity is just a fact of life and you just have to be able to deal. And you see in job adverts, being able to deal with ambiguity. They are not wrong, but ambiguity within a team shouldn't really exist, because within our confines we should be able to drive out. Ambiguity between between a manager and the person they're managing shouldn't really exist in my
Yeah.
there's no reason for that ambiguity to exist.
No.
So driving out, when we then go out into the real world, yes, there's ambiguity and we have to have but being really clear what we're certain about and where the area of ambiguity is. So in a way, it's back to that breaking things down into systems and structures. You go, well, we know that's for sure, and then we know that bit is a range. We think it's going to be there and there. So yeah, just always trying to break things down, always challenging people when they're asking for something, and you do it in a very polite way. Go, look, obviously it's really important.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be awkward, but I want to, it says on, I think this is a fairly standard neurodiverse feature of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want to get it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't want to be, it's difficult enough when there is a demand. You want to understand what that demand is. You want to deliver to that demand as best you can and get it right. Then being told after the event that what you've delivered isn't, when it's been hard for you to deliver, is wrong because you weren't given the clear instructions in the first place.
Yeah.
Is horrible, right?
I
think it's horrible for anyone, but I do think it's probably worse for autistic PDAs as well, because there's probably more of a premium in getting that done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No, I understand that.
wrong is easier. So I think, probably try and come back and answer your question a bit more succinctly. I think making sure you're clear about what expectations are of you. I think even when it's a very, what you might call high pressured, fast moving environment, you are still better. There's also another book which I've never properly read, but Thinking Fast and Slow. I don't know if it's quite a good book, and that talks about there are certain times when you've just got to get on with it, and certain times where you can spend longer. I think even the times when you've just got to get on with it, potentially asking a few questions quickly to understand everybody's running in the right direction, it's probably better than just running off and doing stuff when you fly off and you're not getting things right. But that's what I tend to do.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. If a demand is put upon you, you get, you're asked a task to be done, but that task isn't clear and it's got fuzzy edges, then that's not going to help at all, is it? You need that clarity to start with, and that will really help with the processes then that you've got to go through, which is great. Okay, so can we go back a few years now? I'm going to take you back to school years. So what was your experience of education like? And do you think there were signs of your PDA profile back then? Because you mentioned earlier that you were diagnosed later in life.
Yeah, so I keep saying 6 or 7 years, probably 10 years ago I was diagnosed. So I'm 57 in November, so 47 diagnosed. Obviously a lot of life before I was diagnosed. Yeah, I'd say there were definitely signs. So I struggled. I mean, my mum literally had to drag me kicking and screaming to primary school. It just
Right.
didn't want to go.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I guess, yeah, that was just a massive demand avoidance
Mm.
change. Didn't want to do it, you know. I was considered at primary school. I don't know if this has anything to do with my profile, to be slightly behind the curve in terms of reading.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm talking about 6 or 7, that sort of age. And then something happened because it just probably around 7 or 8, I started writing and ended up writing a great big long just story that was pages and
Right.
pages. Apparently, I mean, I've got it still in the loft somewhere.
Yeah.
About this guy who got on a space rocket and went to the moon or whatever, and the teacher sort of had to then rewrite it because my writing is and is appalling.
Yeah.
So something twigged, and then sort of I then did pretty well, but I was probably always slightly a bit of a weird fish at school. Wasn't great at making friends.
Mm. Mm.
Um, I ended up at the age of 13 going to a public boarding school.
Right. Okay.
Um, on something back then that was called the Assisted Places Scheme, which was a government scheme which was trying to you know, level the playing field, I guess, for want of a better word. That's probably not,
Mm. Mm.
make that type of education available to people whose parents didn't have the money to send them
Yeah.
to those schools. And I'm very conscious there's a big debate around, public, paid
Yeah.
for private.
Yeah.
I mean, although they're called public schools, obviously they're not the private.
Yeah. I know.
There's a reason why they're called public schools, but not for now. So I was incredibly lucky. Okay, I will just say that without prompting. I was incredibly lucky. I was very well taught at school. Got lots of benefits. I got to do lots of sport. I'm incredibly good at swimming, water polo. But yeah, struggled to probably interact with the other boys, made some fantastic friends, but I was there for 5 years. I probably struggled for the first 3 years.
Right. Okay.
And then
Yeah.
again, sort of in the sixth form, found myself a little bit more, but I was always the one that was sort of listening to the Goon Show and Tony Hancock, which is slightly peculiar for this is sort of mid-80s you're talking about. So there was
Yeah.
probably things going on there. Very obsessive on certain things. So yes, I think there were signs. And once I got diagnosed, I went, oh, okay, that kind of falls into place.
Yeah, right, all the dots make sense then, doesn't
Yeah,
it? So
yeah. So, yeah.
how did you cope? How did you cope when you were in school then with sort of, like the rigid routines or the examinations and things like that? Were you able to just hyper focus on those, or were they the demands of all of that a real struggle for you?
No, probably no more than anyone else.
Okay.
Again, because there was routine. So there weren't any
Yes.
surprises.
Yeah.
I knew what was coming up. Again, being very lucky because it was that type of school. There was a lot, they were very good at getting people through exams, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. And
Yeah.
I was very lucky. So no, I don't think there was anything like that other than the stress and strain that anybody might
Yeah. That the average child has. Yeah. Okay.
say, which is clearly a lot.
Oh gosh, yes, yes, a massive amount. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So how did your diagnosis come about then? What sort of made you, if as you say, you got diagnosed about 10 years ago, took you to that point? How did that come about, and what difference has that understanding made for you personally and professionally when all those dots finally all joined up and everything made a bit more sense?
So my profile was probably, because I didn't understand it, lots of anxiety, exhausted all the time, and that and interacting with people, and work, probably predominantly work, was the most challenging thing. Sort of took a big impact on my mental health.
Yeah.
So I ended up having a lot of counselling and analysis and that type of thing, till eventually I sat down. And it was interesting because I was almost more towards the end of counselling, and that type of support. And this uh, psychiatrist said, "Well, I think you're autistic."
Right.
I went, "Oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense."
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what led to that. And
Right.
the interesting thing is, ever since I've had the diagnosis, my mental health has been much higher than
Brilliant.
well, because there's an understanding there.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. Yeah. And where that understanding comes, then you can, you can give yourself that space, you can give yourself that preparation that actually, no, I'm not going to do that because I know it's going to be stressful for me, but I understand why it's going to be stressful for me. Or I need to do X, Y, Z in order to do that, but I know I can do that prep beforehand and
yeah,
that will help as well, can't it?
yeah. And the I love the spoons. Do
Mm.
you know about brains and
Yeah, the
spoons?
spoon theory, yeah.
Yeah, and that's brilliant for me because it is, um there's a finite amount, and literally, assume you've got 20 spoons, you're fine for the 20, but as soon as the last one's gone, you literally crash to the floor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, and understanding that yourself, and other people understanding that, and going, right, I need to go. I've got no spoons left now. My social battery's gone.
yeah,
It just helps. It really
yeah,
does.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. That's great. So, do you think then you would have benefited if you'd had known about your PDA and autism earlier in life, maybe with it from that you touched on sort of the mental health input that you'd had. Are there other benefits that you would have found if you'd know? Do you think that you would have gained if you would have found out a little bit earlier about your autism, or?
So, work asked me to do a presentation, about 6 weeks ago, to talk about my experience of recruitment, a little bit almost like, the
Uh-huh.
discussion we've had, which is great. And somebody asked me when I did that, exactly that question.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I've thought about a lot. And I don't know is the honest
Yeah, yeah.
answer. And the reason why I don't know, again, typical how my brain works, break it down. So say I'd been diagnosed at the age of 5, let's call it that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would have happened? Would I have been sent to a different school?
Yeah.
Would have different things happen? Would, I wouldn't have got, certain, opportunities?
Mm.
Yes, it was hard because, there were certain ways that worked that made the world a difficult place. Um, so I don't know if would the earlier diagnosis have helped. If then maybe then perhaps if I got a diagnosis at the age of 18, for instance, at the beginning of my work career, so about school and work career,
Yeah.
again, would that have changed things? Would I have not done certain things? Um, not taken opportunities because thought, well, I can't do that because I'm neurodiverse. Um, all I can say is I'm very happy where I've ended up.
Mm.
You know,
Yes. Yeah.
job I love and home life I love. So who knows? You
Mm.
just don't know, because all unless you've got a time machine, Or do that thing like they do in film,
Yeah.
sliding doors and go, right,
I had sliding doors in my head there. That was a phrase I was about to say, isn't it? You just don't know. And actually, those tough times do make you what you are, help you get to where you are today, and the things that you've learned along the way. But you're right, you just don't know, do you? You don't know. But it's all, looking at here and now, you're in a great place. You're in a great, as you said, your home life, your work life, you're happy with those, and that's all that we can ask out of life, isn't it? That we're happy doing what we're doing, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay, so my last question then to finish off our podcast today is, what advice would you give to other PDA or autistic people who are thinking about applying for a role in the police or any other high demand environments? What one piece of advice would you give to other PDAs?
Well, I think it's always dangerous to give advice. Look, every place is different. You've asked me to give one piece of advice. Can I give more than one piece?
You can give more than one, yeah.
I think be clear about what you want. And I think if so I'm in project and program management can be quite high stress, but there's probably places where it's less high stress or less demanding, etc., etc. So there's always different places you can get the type of things you want, and it's always best, I think, when you're in a work life, is to keep asking yourself the question why until you can't answer it anymore. So why I'm not working in the police because it's high stress. It's not a problem. And again, sorry, high demand. I have to be, again, I want to be really clear. The officers that are out doing the frontline policing, other people doing the high stress, high demand stuff. It is challenging what we do, but I absolutely don't want to overdo that. But just keep asking yourself why, what it is you want, and then you'll find there's lots of, the more you distill down to sort of the essence of what you want, you'll find there's more jobs you can do to get that. Look for the things in the adverts about disability confidence and that type of thing, that they're prepared to make reasonable adjustments, etc., etc. I think that's really important. Definitely, I mentioned it before, the prep in terms of using the STAR model, that's really worked for me, because it gives you that sort of framework and almost like a comfort blanket. So yeah, I think almost don't be afraid of what people might refer to as high demand.
Yeah.
I think that's such a broad term that actually is probably a lot within that you can get. So yeah, I think probably look for the words that are letting you know they are very open to people with disabilities, be they neurodiversity or other disabilities.
Yeah.
It's, again, I will just say the one last thing, that generally means they're just a good place to work.
Yeah. They're inclusive of everybody.
All the studies say that the organisations, I don't care if they're private sector or public sector, are much more effective and efficient when they've got a diverse range of people. Cultural diversity, disability diversity, all that type of stuff. So yeah, that's probably, if you had to one, that's probably my one piece of advice.
That's brilliant. Oh, that's amazing. Thanks so much, Matt. And you've shared your experiences with us today, which we really do appreciate. But I also think it's going to be sort of inspiring and aspiring for many of our listeners, and also for parents of PDA children at the moment, to hear that actually, this guy's, with his PDA, but he's gone on and he's achieved great things and he's happy in doing what he's doing. And that's brilliant. So thank you so much. We really do appreciate you coming on.
No, it's very kind of you. Thank you. No, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you. So if today's conversation has resonated with you, then please do remember that you're not alone and there is support out there for you. You can find more resources, guides and community support on the PDA Society website and hub, and we'll link all of that in the show notes for you. So if you found this episode helpful, then please do share it with someone who might benefit, and don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any future conversations. So thank you so much once again for listening. And until next time, please do take care of yourself and each other.
Sponsors of our training hub make it possible for us to create and put out this podcast for everyone for free. As a thank you, they get free access to all recordings and self-guided training on our training hub. Thank you, subscribers, for your generosity. If you'd like to become a subscriber, there's a link in our show notes.